All right, good evening and welcome to the April 2026 meeting of the Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Thank you all for joining us in person at the Omaha Douglas Civic Center and remotely via WebEx. I hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy. With me in person today are my fellow board members, Amanda Bogner, Mike Kavanaugh, Sarah Howard, John Hudson, Craig Moody, Mary Spurgeon, and Director Williams let us know that he'll be here shortly. We also have CEO Javier Fernandez, Tim Tolkien with the Fraser Stryker Law Firm, our general counsel, and members of our board meeting support staff. OPPD's executive leadership team and subject matter experts are also participating in today's meeting in person and via WebEx. Additionally, we currently have about 20 members of the public at the Civic Center and 14 attendees on WebEx. Those folks are consisting of OPPD employees and members of the public. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I'll now ask a member of OPPD's physical security team to provide the safety briefing for our location.
Everyone, because safety is our top priority here at OPPD, we begin each meeting with a few physical, cybersecurity, and psychological safety reminders. If you're not feeling well, hopefully you're not here, you're at home getting rest, hydration, seeking medical attention as needed. We always want everybody to be aware of any emergency exits and also first aid and fire suppression materials. We have emergency exits on either side of the room. Fire suppression materials as well as first aid and AEDs are also at those exits. And then we have some additional first aid equipment available to us in the back of the room. In the event of any type of severe weather, we'd use the stairwells to go down into the garage area where we would take shelter. If we had to evacuate the building, we would use the stairwells again, and then I would ask everyone to congregate on the north side of the building where we would take accountability for everyone. We always want to make sure we're keeping our areas free of any slip, trips, or other types of hazards. We want to make sure that we can reach out to our first responders, which luckily we have deputies with us tonight. So if anybody needs any assistance, we'll be able to ask them for help. Cybersecurity, we want everybody to be cautious with suspicious emails and unknown links. Do not click anything that seems untrustworthy. And we always want to be cautious of any unknown phone numbers that are coming via our virtual meetings or into our telephones themselves. Psychological safety is essential for productive collaboration. Please encourage curiosity and continuous learning. We want people to speak out and act with respect. Embrace constructive conflict, value diverse perspectives, build trust through transparency, and give everyone a voice and invite questions and ideas. We always want to remember OPPD's core values. We have a passion to serve, we honor our community, and we care for one another. Have a great meeting.
All right, thank you. Now let's run through our guidelines for the conduct of the meeting. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public on OPPD.com. This meeting is being conducted in person with WebEx conferencing and is being recorded. Our board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are a part of the official public record. After the introduction of action items, board members will ask clarifying questions of staff, and then I'll ask for public comment. After public comment, the board will conduct its discussion of the matter and then vote. Before we adjourn, there will be an opportunity to comment on any other matters of district business. We'll take comments in the room first and then via WebEx. For in-person attendees, if you wish to make a comment, please line up behind the microphone. Please state your name, address, and the name of any organization or person you represent. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending. To assist you, we'll use the timer that's in the room. Ms. Lane will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. If you have written materials, please deliver them to Ms. Lane. For WebEx attendees, if you wish to make a comment, please send the meeting host a message using the chat feature or utilize the hand raise feature. Detailed instructions can be found on this OPPD website at the link shown on the screen. When I call on a member of the public to speak, please affirm that we can hear you before starting your comments. Please state your name, address, and the name of any organization or person you represent. Each individual on WebEx will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending. To assist you, we'll use the timer on the screen and signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. If you have written materials, please email them to corporatesecretary@oppd.com and they'll be received on our behalf. For all attendees, please direct your comments to me. I'll either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. The board values and welcomes civil, respectful, clear, and concise communication from the public. During public comments, speakers should refrain from repetitious, profane, or irrelevant comments. Speakers shall refrain from polling the board as such vote is not on the agenda and is prohibited by law. Ms. Lane, will you please take the roll?
Director Bogner.
Here.
Director Kavanaugh.
Here.
Director Corr.
Here.
Director Howard.
Here.
Director Hudson.
Here.
Director Moody.
Here.
Director Spurgeon.
Here.
Director Williams.
Here.
Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing in the Omaha World Herald and Nebraska Press Association, OPPD outlets newsletter, OPPD.com, and social media, by displaying such notice on the first level of OPPD administrative offices, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on April 10th, 2026. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available for inspection on OPPD.com and in this meeting room. The consent agenda action items are as follows. Item 6, approval of the December 2025, January 2026, and February 2026 financial reports. March 2026 meeting minutes and April 16, 2026 agenda. Item 7, Standing Committee Annual Charter Review Revisions and Non-Substantive Board Policy Updates, Resolution number 6755. Item 8, RFP 6235, Resources for Underground Residential and Commercial Developments, Labor Contract Award to Nielsen Construction, Resolution number 6756. Item 9, SD 14, Retirement Plan Funding Monitoring Report, Resolution number 6757. And Item 10, SD 4, Reliability Monitoring Report, Resolution number 6758.
All right, thank you. If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to the consent agenda items, I need a motion in a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. We discussed these action items at the All Committees meeting on Tuesday, April 14th. Do any members of the public in the room have comments on these consent agenda items? All right, seeing none, do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? If you do, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand. Okay, with no other comments, Ms. Lane, will you take the roll?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Core,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. The first board discussion action item is item 11, SD5, Customer Satisfaction Monitoring Report, Resolution number 6759. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors accepts the SD5 Customer Satisfaction Monitoring Report in the form as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof, and finds OPPD to be sufficiently in compliance with the policy as stated.
Motion to approve? Second.
Thank you. Are there any directors that'd like to make a comment? Go ahead.
Well, this is kind of a big deal here. The presentation that we were shown shows what the many aspects of customer service that are measured by OPPD and by the benchmarking organizations. And OPPD has been striving for first quartile performance for quite a while and got there in 2025, one of the most chaotic stretches of history, I think, in recent memory for people in general, maybe, and I think certainly for OPPD. So congratulations, I think, is due to everyone involved in customer service. And dare I say, it's almost everyone in the company in some way, shape, or form. Congratulations to them for having been a steady, well-grounded, reliable service provider during such a tumultuous year. I think sometimes we should stand up on our chairs and wave our arms and cheer because it's quite an accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Moody.
Thank you, Director Core. I'll just pile on really quickly to echo the appreciation and the fact that this is a really big achievement. Top quartile in both residential and business is a big deal. And I also want to reinforce something that you said, Director Spurgeon, which is this is a full organization-wide effort. The customer service measurements consider price, they consider reliability, they consider interactions directly with employees. So there are a lot of factors that play into it. And this should be a really proud moment for the organization. And I have a lot of gratitude for all of the work that went in. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, yeah, I'll echo as well. Thank you to every employee at the organization for making this happen. I really appreciate it. Are there any members of the public in the room that have comments on this discussion action item? If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium.
David Bagley, 4611 South 96th Street. Well, I was able to see some of the results in your committee meeting notes, and customers were complaining about price. And there was just this general complaint say, oh, it's inflation. Well, this is a board issue. And this board just won't come to grips with the fact that wind and solar are not cheap. And the way Lazard has rigged the thing, and those questions were all rigged. I mean, what you need to ask your customer owners is, do you know that OPPD has a net zero policy? Do you know that wind and solar are unreliable? Do you know that wind and solar are the most expensive source of electricity? No, you don't deal with that. So I've got here something from a source that I trust who has really dug in. I wish Brad was here. He could tell you about the all-in matrix on wind and solar. So additional transmission expenses to connect wind and solar to the grid. So that's what you're doing out in York County. It's a long way from York County to Omaha, and those transmission lines aren't free. Green plating the grid. Additional property taxes. In Nebraska, we have the nameplate tax. Load balancing costs, very important. Overbuilding and curtailment costs. So I don't think people appreciate this fact. Curtailment costs are incurred when wind and solar are overbuilt to meet demand during periods of low wind and solar generation and are turned off during periods of higher output to avoid overloading the grid. So, you know, it's all a giant scam, and you should not be congratulating yourselves on saddling the customer owners of this district with higher electricity costs. And as I told you many, many times, look at the costs in Europe. Look how much wind and solar they have in their grid. Look what happens in California. Thank you very much.
Pardon me. Thank you for your comments. Are there other comments in the room? Are there any comments online? Would any directors like to make any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to correct. It is blatantly, categorically, and factually wildly incorrect to say that wind and solar are the most expensive form of energy. They are, in fact, the least expensive form of energy that can be brought online today. This is verified by functionally everyone who studies the topic. I just want to make sure that it's clear that we do not support nor do we endorse blatantly incorrect positions, even if they are expressed by someone during this board meeting. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, Ms. Lane, we take roll?
Wagner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Core,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. The second discussion action item is 2026-2027 debt issuance authorization, series and sales, resolutions number 6760 and 6761. The resolutions were shared with the Board of Directors for their review and diligence. The public can view the resolutions in their entirety on OPPD.com.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. In a second, please.
Second.
Would any directors like to make a comment on this topic?
Director Core, if I may, I'll start as the chair of the Finance Committee. So the district has a need to build. And in order to build, we need capital to do that. This is the mechanism by which we do that. I think I've experienced over the years, over the last 10 years that I've been doing this, that to the extent that we can, we use cash to fund things like this. But when you're building it at the scale that we are, that's not necessarily an option. Nevertheless, I do want to point out just a couple things for the public. And again, the board has been involved and understands this. This is a pretty significant investment that we're talking about. So it's $1.4 billion in total. Just over $1 billion of that is for new money for all of the building that we need to do. A little over $100 million is for capitalized interest that would delay funding interest from rates. And then finally, just under $300 million is for refunding opportunities that would reduce debt service. So as this went through the Finance Committee, we asked a lot of questions about where we are today with respect to the debt load and where we're going to be as we go forward. I think hard questions were asked. This is a really good investment in our future. It's extraordinarily important. This does extend the approval that we're asked for extends through March of 27. But no expected impact on our debt service coverage. So I think from a financial standpoint, we're still quite strong. And fortunately, when we go to market, we've got really good bond ratings as well, which is something that we've prioritized, and it bodes very well for us when we do go to market. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Director Porter.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Director Murray. I think you did a fantastic job, the treasurer. One additional comment that I think is very, very important is our financial health allows us to, for the most part, pay in advance for all of our capital projects, and then we issue debt in our. That allows us to save all of the interest expense that we would otherwise have to spend if we had to borrow in advance. So I think yet another huge advantage of having a good financial position.
Thank you. Do any members of the public in the room have comments on this discussion action item? All right, seeing none, do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? Please send the chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand. All right, with no comments, Ms. Lane, will you take the roll?
Wagner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Core,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Item 13, Vice President, Human Capital, Appointment and Compensation Approval, Resolution Number 6762. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the appointment of Joni Wheeler as Vice President, Human Capital, and the compensation is set forth on the attached exhibit be and hereby are approved effective April 27th, 2026.
Second.
We need a second, guys. Oh, thank you. All right, CEO Fernandez, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, at the risk of repeating some of the information that I said on Tuesday, but I think it's important because not everybody was on Tuesday that was here. I'm going to talk quickly. This is a very important position, as is any other member of the executive leadership team. But especially in this day and age, when workforce issues continue to be, attracting, retaining, and training the right workforce in an ever-changing industry is incredibly important in our industry. We had Michael Purnell, who left the organization back in October, and we took a little bit of time to make sure that we had the right structure, the right person joining OPPD. It was an extensive search, over 550 applicants, come down to the most qualified person. And it is my pleasure to present Joni Wheeler, who is a well-respected leader in the Omaha area. She most recently spent time at Blue Cross Blue Shield, Nebraska as Executive Vice President of Strategic Talent and Enterprise Shared Services. Prior to Blue Cross Blue Shield Nebraska, Joni held several leadership positions at CoreLink, First Data Corporation, as well as system design and management roles for West Corporation. If that's not enough, Joni is very active in the community. In 2021, just after the pandemic, she founded Ignite Nebraska, which is a paid apprenticeship program dedicated to elevating untapped talent with access to highly skilled, high-paying, high-demand roles. She's active in community service and currently serves on the board of directors for ICANN, Boys Town National Board of Trustees, as well as Ignite Nebraska. The salary that you have in front of you is what I described on Tuesday, is very similar to what we had with Mrs. Purnell. It's the same salary range. We're starting her at 92% of the midpoint, accounting for her years of experience as an executive doing this type of work. A very similar logic that we used when the board approved Mr. Fisher last month for the general counsel position. It maintains parity with the rest of the executive leadership team in their own salary categories. And so that is the proposal that we have in front of you.
All right, thank you. Are there any directors that'd like to comment?
I think all the members of the board have had an opportunity to meet with Ms. Wheeler, and I know I was very impressed by our conversation. She was very engaging, articulate. I think, as Javier pointed out, she has a wealth of experience that she's bringing here to OPPD, so I look forward to having her as part of the executive leadership team.
All right, thank you, Director Hudson. Director Spurgeon?
Ms. Wheeler's impressive list of training and accomplishments shows a great thirst for knowledge that has helped her be a fine leader in the roles she has occupied. Running through them, I see a theme of how can we do what we do better? I think the fresh eyes that she will bring to OPPD will serve us very well. She will be joining an organization that strives to do that in every way possible. So I hope that she will feel at home in a family of peers who, like her, have a passion to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? In the room have comments on this discussion action item?
Bagley, 4611 South 96th Street. Well, I welcome Joni Wheeler to the OPPD family, and I'm pleased to see about her employment because a new broom sweeps clean. Now, I was just telling Tim Talkin before the meeting that next month I'll be arguing a very important race discrimination case in front of the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. And as I was preparing my brief, I was just totally shocked to learn how many organizations are ignoring the Supreme Court's rulings on race discrimination. And the source of it is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. In the Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard College, Chief Justice Roberts wrote, the way to stop race discrimination is to stop discriminating based upon race. And your DEI policy has absolutely got to go. It's unconstitutional. Another public body, University of Nebraska at Lincoln, got rid of theirs last year. I don't know what's wrong with OPPD. You guys got to get on the ball, get in compliance with the law. You know, the AG sued you about, trying to set down North Omaha Station. Next thing you know, Department of Justice, Harmeet Dillon's going to come down on OPPD for race discrimination. I'm sure Fraser Strike will do an excellent job, but it's on the board. You need to stop discriminating based on race. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments in the room? I see none. Are there any comments online? Do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can use *3 to raise their hand. Okay, with no other comments, Ms. Lane, will you take the roll?
Wagner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Core,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
Great, thank you. Ms. Wheeler, welcome to OPPD. Would you like to make any comments? All right, thank you.
Chairman Core,
members of the board, Javier, and the OPPD executive team, thank you. I am deeply honored to accept the role of Vice President of Human Capital and grateful for the trust that you've placed in me. I want to extend my sincere appreciation to each of you for the time, transparency, and partnership that you've offered throughout the vetting process. Your willingness to answer questions, share insights, and ensure I had information needed to navigate this journey speaks volumes about the culture of this organization. To the human capital team and the many leaders who went above and beyond, thank you for your openness and for giving me a window into the heart of OPPD. Stepping into this role at this moment is both humbling and energizing. The future of power is changing faster than at any point in our history. Demand is rising at unprecedented levels. Our community is growing rapidly, and we are balancing the realities of 70-year-old assets with the bold ambition of a 2050 strategy that will redefine how we generate, deliver, and steward energy for the next generation. What is clear and what excites me most is that none of this transformation will be possible without people. Talent is the heartbeat of the 2050 strategy. The future workforce in the skills we build, the leaders we develop, the culture we shape will determine how effectively we meet that moment. My commitment is to partner deeply with the executive team and across the enterprise to bring clarity where there is ambiguity and to connect strategy to execution and ensure our people have what they need to deliver on OPPD's mission. Together, we will foster a highly accountable, high-performing culture that supports innovation, operational excellence, and the resilience required for the future of energy. I look forward to building strong relationships across the organization, challenging and being challenged, and bringing solutions that help us move forward together. The opportunity ahead is extraordinary, and I am honored to help lead this transformation. Thank you again for your confidence, your partnership, and your warm welcome. I am truly excited for what's ahead. Let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you. That, Mr. Fernandez for the president's report.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair Cora. I'm going to start my report, as I usually do, with a quick overview of our generation fleet. These are the shoulder months, what we refer to as the shoulder months, which is where we take time to do planned outages on our generation fleet to get them ready for the summer months. And you can see that reflected on the capacity factors for our power plants. Nebraska City Unit 1 was in planned outage for the second half of the month and experienced one outage due to equipment failure, therefore the lower capacity factor you see on the screen. Nebraska City Unit 2 had one outage due to equipment failure, but it otherwise didn't have a planned outage. Unit 4 at North Omaha Station was available 100% of the time with no significant derates or unit outages this month, while North Omaha Unit 5 completed an outage due to a boiler tube leak and operated at reduced load for 5 days following unit startup to clean up the boiler. Again, it's part of getting all of our units ready. The other segment of our portfolio is our balancing generation, otherwise known as peaking units. You can see relatively low capacity factors because it's spring and the wind is blowing, and we're going to see that on the next page. So we've been able to supplement our baseload generation with renewable generation. However, it is very important for us to have all of our balancing generation in good order, ready to start with 100% or high availability. You can see here that Turtle Creek had a capacity factor of 5%, and every other station had between 0 and 2%. Again, they run very little, but that doesn't mean they're not important. Very important for them to be ready to run when we call upon them. One other thing on the previous one, just to remind everyone, North Omaha units 1, 2, and 3 by design will have a capacity factor of 0% because there is no, as we've talked many times, there is no gas available for those units at this point of the year. Later on, I believe it's June 1st when those units will have availability for fuel. And last but certainly not least, our renewable generation. As of 2020, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our renewable portfolio because this is something that we don't talk about much, and I would like to just share context. As of 2025, Nebraska utilities are responsible for 2,198 megawatts of nameplate renewable generation. This is what we report to the Power Review Board. That's about 524 megawatts of accredited generation. Of these, OPPD represents 61.4% of the total and 74% of the accredited generation in the state of Nebraska. Something to be very proud of. I usually just talk about the capacity factors, but very important for us to say this is how we lead the way. We have the highest share of renewable generation owned by utilities in the state of Nebraska, and this doesn't even count some of the projects that we are working on today. So I'm very proud of the team. There's a team behind this who has been working on power purchase agreements since 2010, 2011, and they continue to do so. So very important for me to just put that context around it. And now look at capacity factors. For renewables was 46.1%, which is higher than last month. Again, it's the windy season. Capacity factor for wind represents most of that. It's 45.5%. Capacity factor for solar, both community solar and Platteview solar, is in around the 20% range, which is normal for this time of the year. As we're getting longer days, we're expecting this capacity factor to increase throughout the summer months. This is a little bit of a public service announcement. We launched the DIY, Do-It-Yourself Energy Assessment Pilot on January 15th, and I'm happy to share it was sold out in under 5 weeks. This pilot offered customers an affordable way to assess their home's energy efficiency. For only $19, customers were able to perform a home energy audit that highlighted opportunities for energy efficiency improvements. Overall, customers were satisfied with the assessment, with some customers even performing upgrades to their homes within the first 2 to 3 weeks after the assessment. As a next step, we will examine the outcomes of the pilot, along with conducting customer interviews and surveys so that we can use those insights to make future recommendations on similar programs. Next page, please. Thank you. The tallest transmission structures in OPPD system have risen from the riverbanks of the Platte River near Louisville. I think I've talked about this before, but you can see the renderings and you can actually see real pictures. I have a very healthy fear of heights, so just looking at those gentlemen on the towers, it just gives me a little bit of a chills. But this is a 347-foot tall Pyramax transmission tower. They are the largest transmission towers in OPPD service area. Pyramax is a type of transmission pole that Valmont produces. It's a local local company. These structures will carry 2 high voltage transmission lines across the river and a distribution line as part of the Cass to Sarpy County transmission project. It is really exciting because these Pyramax transmission towers are manufactured again by Valmont, as I mentioned, which is one of the patented engineering innovations they have. We will have an opportunity, I think a few board members will have an opportunity to go see this installation. The tower in and of itself is very impressive, but also are the foundation. As you can see here, they have to go pretty deep so that we can erect the towers. Someone told me that the height of the tower is similar to the Union Pacific building here in downtown Omaha. So just to give an order of magnitude. Next, please. The Marshmallow Challenge. This is one of my favorite times of the year. This is sponsored and judged by members of the OPPD Society of Engineers. It is an annual 4-week contest beginning with Engineering Week in mid-February. The entries received from 16 teams of 5th graders were challenged to build the tallest freestanding tower they could using only uncooked spaghetti, masking tape and string, and then topped off by a marshmallow. It provides an opportunity for students to feel like engineers, challenges their thinking to make real-time adjustments to their structure, and promotes teamwork. This year's winner for the tallest tower were members of the Baby Chicken team from St. Margaret Mary Catholic School in Omaha with a tower that was 33 3/4 inches tall. That's very impressive. And last, certainly not least, but a very important one here. We typically reserve this space for linemen or employees who have passed in line of duty. I do want to take a moment to honor two dear friends, OPPD employees who recently lost their life. Brian Keenan on the left, a lead financial business partner, passed away March 31st. Brian worked at OPPD for over 25 years. He started as a staff accountant and he planned to retire on May 1st. Brian is survived by his wife, Lisa, and 4 children, Sean, Megan, Monica, and Michaela, and 2 grandchildren, Daisy and Fort. Brian left an indelible mark in everything we do. He was a business partner, financial business partner, working closely with all of the executive team, helping us with budgets and helping us make sure that we executed our budget on time. And it was just a very, very valuable employee and just a super, super nice guy. To the right, Michael Leary, a senior market research specialist, passed away on April 10th. Michael worked for OPPD for 26 years. He started in market research at OPPD right out of college, and his research expertise and leadership for our J.D. Power work informs so much of the insight we rely on today. Michael is survived by his mother, Barb, his father, Daryl, his sister, Michelle, and her family. It is a coincidence, but we just consider the board just approved SD5 monitoring report, and Michael's work is all over that report. He, for many, many years, helped us work with J.D. Power, with all the different servers we had, making sure that we were serving our customers and getting all that statistical information and translating that into valuable information for the board. So I think it is very special that we get to honor today the work that he worked on for so many years through SD5. Both Brian and Michael, again, dedicated employees that we will miss very, very much, very appreciated and loved at the district. That concludes my president's report.
All right, thank you. Now's the time for comment on items of other district business. If there's any members of the public in the room that have a comment, please come up to the podium.
David Bagley, 4611 South 96th Street. Last month, before I get going, Javier, you were 1 out of 3 for top renewables, public power in Nebraska. That's not a big deal. But anyway, Vern Carlson said at the last meeting, 800 Buckboard Boulevard, Papillion, he said about my comments that solar is not efficient. He said, quote, seems kind of retarded to me. That's not very nice language, but what I was talking about is TJ Rogers. And who is TJ Rogers? Well, he was first in his class at Dartmouth College, got a PhD in electrical engineering at Stanford University, former CEO of Cypress Semiconductor, and current CEO of a solar power company. Who is Vern Carlson? College educated at some unknown college, and I think he works at UP. So who's more credible? Who are you going to believe, Vern Carlson or TJ Rogers? What TJ Rogers knows, it's called the SQ limit, and the physics of solar panels are such that they will never get above 30% efficiency. So, Director Williams, you can believe what you want to believe about solar and wind, but you go ask those people in Europe, they're paying 3 to 5 times the U.S. average. So you just if solar and wind is so cheap, why is electricity so expensive over in Europe? Well, you can't answer that question, but I can. And I'll tell you, it's this all in. You know, Lazard has cooked up this this metric where it's spun out on Wall Street. Solar and wind is the cheapest. But you put everything into the cost. Solar, $471.60 a megawatt hour. Wind, 272.41. Natural gas, 92, natural gas, 27. And that takes in everything. Property taxes, overhead, overbuilding, capital, fuel, load balancing, transmission. And one of the things, well, I'm a lawyer, so I know people are always trying to trick other people. And one thing that Lazard did is in their fake calculation, they assume that solar facilities operate
30
for
seconds.
35 years. It's not 35 years, they're 20 years. And then they say nat gas plants are only good for 20 years. If Brad was here, I'm sure he'd tell you that your 2 new nat gas plants are going to be on the books at least for 40, if not 50 years. And then, there's the capacity factor. Nebraska, 22.9%, Arizona, 29.7%. And that's for solar. So a little bit of difference and how much the sun shines makes a big difference in the cost. So Director Williams, you're just dead wrong about this. Go ahead, believe what you want to believe, but the facts are the facts. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments in the room? Okay, seeing none. Do any members of the public joining via WebEx have comments on other items of district business? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
David Corbin.
All right, David Corbin, can you hear me? Mr. Corbin, can you hear me? Go ahead, sir, if you can hear us. You're unmuted. Is there any other hand raises? We can come back. There's no other comments online. David Corbin, can you hear us? You're unmuted and you can start your comments if you wish. Okay. All right. No other comments online? All right. With that, we are adjourned at 5:42 p.m. Thank you.